Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to show you how to make Super Girly Gamer from Minecraft out of gum paste. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Pat and Jen. They do popular MMOs on YouTube and they play a lot of Minecraft. And the Jen's character is called Super Girly Gamer and I'm going to show you how to make her, alright? So as you saw, I already made a square out of pink gum paste and I rammed it through my lollipop stick. I'm using just a beige color, off-white creamy color for her legs, and again ramming the stick right on through it. I had trimmed it to the same thickness and almost the same width as the pink piece up top. If you find when you're making yours and they don't line up quite right, you can just trim it or use your fondant smoothing paddles and press it together, do that kind of thing, make it all work out and line up nice and neat. All right, the same thickness of the beige I'm using, I'm going to do for arms. I cut out a couple of thin rectangles and I held it up to the body. You want the arms to finish a little bit past the waistline, so that's why I trimmed it at that size. This pink that I'm trimming out here is going to be the skirt part of the outfit. It wraps around from the back pretty long. You can see I'm bending it where the leg ends. I cut it about halfway down the legs. And the front is going to kind of taper up into the front, which you'll see how I do that in a moment. But for now, I'm going to trim my long rectangle, put it on the back, and wrap it around. And coincidentally, it just happened to fit very nicely as far as the size goes. I got very lucky there. And I mentioned it in my Harry Potter video with the scarf, that whole I always forget to measure, I just cut stuff. Yeah, that happened right there as well. I just didn't even think of measuring it. I'm just like, la la la, there you go. I'm putting some marks in to make kind of a step down pattern in the dress that I'm going to then trim off. There's 3 steps on each side and they're going to match up in the middle. When I had the impressions on there, I took it off as you saw. Now I'm just using those marks as my guides to cut it out. I'm just freehanding everything. If you're really unsure about what you can do, I guess you could go online and print some kind of a picture of the character and then follow that, but you'd have to get it in the right size and everything. And honestly, I've never tried it. I find doing these Minecraft figures are pretty easy and you don't really need a template or anything else. You can do it. You could just freehand it the way I am here. This skinny layer of pink here at the bottom is going to be the shoes. It's the same thickness as the legs and the torso and everything else. And it's just cut very thin to be the shoes. The legs I had made a little bit shorter in order to give allowance for the shoes so her legs aren't super ridiculously long. And if it doesn't quite fit, trim it, press it, make it match up. I'm using the blade of the knife to make an impression down the beige part of the legs and the shoes to separate them, so now it looks like legs with a dress. The arms are getting a little bit of sleeves at the top. That's what the little square is of pink that I attached there. And I'm trimming the beige a bit because with the sleeve on it, it made it longer than I wanted it to be. So again, keeping those arms, a little bit past the waist length, and it'll be perfect. And it falls off even when you add water sometimes. So you have to carefully stick it back on. And I did the same thing to the other side. Added a little bit of a sleeve up top, trimmed it to make it fit, stuck it on with some water, pressed it with my paddles, and it's already very cute. So there you go. So far, so good. All right, now we're moving on to the head. Same with the beige. This is a little thicker. I rolled it thicker than the body and cut it into a square using water, shove it on there. You saw I trimmed my lollipop stick to make it shorter. And now she's got a head. Isn't that nice? I know this color looks white right now, but it's still the same beige color. So I am making kind of a letter T there because her dress has a little bit of the chest showing. Kind of like Steve's shirt, actually. So that's what I was doing there. All right, now we're getting on to the hair. The hair, I've seen it in brown, I've seen it in black. I just did it in brown because I thought it looked better this way. And I made 3 little steps, kind of like the same idea as her dress before. And that's going to be half of her bangs on one side of her face. The other side goes down a little bit lower, so I'm going to end up, I think, with 4. I cut out 5 because, again, I never measure anything. And I wanted to see how it would turn out and make sure that I had plenty there. So I'm just cutting out lots of steps, making it extra long. Trim it off, keep on going, And again, like I said, if you're more patient than I am, you can actually print something out, follow that better than I am doing right here because it turned out it was a little too wide, so I had to trim it. Kind of as I suspected I would. But it still looks good. There you go. So the one side is a little bit lower. The right side is lower than the left in the front. And make sure your little squares stay nice and square. The sides of her head, the two sides and the top and the back, you just fill in solid brown. You don't have to do anything too fancy there. Alright, so that was one side of her head. This is the other side of her head. You just got to make sure it actually fits. Using a little bit of water, sticking on in place, just like that. No surprises here. And there you go. Now she's got most of her head done, at least a good part of it. And there's the piece for the top. Just stuck it right on top. And now the back. The back I ended up messing up, and you're going to see it here. I had made it so that it fit the back of the head, and she's got kind of like this ponytail curl thing that comes down on into the middle of her back. If you look at pictures, when you look up Super Girly Gamer, you're going to see pictures on the back. She's got that kind of curl of long hair. That's what I'm trying to carve out right here. And I do. It does work. But then I accidentally mush it later, so I ended up cutting it off and having to redo it. So you're not going to see that part. But you are going to see this part, because this is how I did it. You kind of taper it down into a central point and then curl it around like the tail of a cat. Like, just, you know, hook it around as best you can. It was kind of a pain in the butt to carve this one out, just because the brown was kind of soft, and I don't know, it was just giving me a hard time because it's evil or something. It just didn't like me. But so there you have it for now, but you're going to see later on it goes away mysteriously. Okay, here is some more of the brown. This is the hair that's going to be in the front that comes down over her shoulders and onto her chest on either side. I just took two little rectangles of brown and trimmed it out so it was a little bit wavy, kind of like a letter S. You could see the one that's done, and now a backward S. They should mirror each other as best as you can, and then put them on either shoulder so that the end of the hair, the bottom of the hair, is on the inside, like the closer to the center, where it curls inward, you see? So now she's got her little long hair strands on either side of her, and she's doing good. Now we're going to add some accents to her dress. I am doing that whole step procedure again, carving steps out of the hot pink. I'm using just some hot pink here, or actually I think it might have been like a rose color or something. But it's a darker pink, regardless. It's a darker pink. And I'm making my little steps, and those are going to go on either shoulder. If you look up pictures of her, her dress is actually pretty freaking complicated, and it has some very light gray almost, or white, not quite white, I want to say it's light gray, highlights or something to it that I just didn't go there because it was getting too involved. So I just stuck with the hot pink. I put the stripe across the chest, as you saw, on either shoulder. Her belt is kind of sectioned into three. There's a longer piece in the middle, as you see, and then a shorter piece on either side of her, the main part in the middle. Yeah, so there you go. I don't know why. She has a little bit of the hot pink coming down from the ends of the center. It came down to the first little step part of her dress, and those little pieces moved around on me a lot. And she has thicker little pieces of the hot pink color on either side. To me, they look like they'd be pockets because she's cool enough to have a dress with pockets. And again, little rectangles in the center of each shoe there at the top. I don't know if they're laces or something, but they're there. Put a little bit of accent on the horizontal part of the next step of her dress on either side, you see? Just like that. And then I flipped her over, and you're going to see what this piece is for. It's steps on either side, like 3 of them, and then just straight across in the middle. This is going to go on the back, and you see how she's resting on that rolling pin right there? That's when the hair got smushed, and I had to cut it off. But then I realized that I had to put that decoration on the back of her dress anyway, so the hair would have been in the way to begin with. So, coincidence? Was it actually good fortune? Was it me just making excuses for having wrecked her hair and trying to make the best of it, which is probably what that is? Anyway, so yeah, back to her dress. I added the same kind of pattern to the belt on the back, the thick in the middle and the 2 thinner parts on either side. And her dress has a larger a long piece on the bottom and 2 almost squares, actually, raised up a little bit on either side. And that's her dress, all right? Like I said, if you want to go deeper into it and add that light gray or whitish color to it, go right ahead. I didn't go there, but that's on you. So the two giant green squares for her eyes. And we're going to add little highlights in a moment too. This is like a darker beige. I just added some brown to the color I was using before to make her mouth. It's a good thickness. She looks kind of, I don't know, Muppety or something right there. But yeah, so I added the ponytail back. I just made the same one again, so you didn't miss anything. It was just that same kind of cattail shape again. This little white thing looks almost like an upside down Lego piece there that I'm adding the hot pink to. I have no idea what it is. I don't know if it's a bow on her hair or if it's a hood or a hat. I have no clue. But it has a hot pink stripe on each side, and then those little tabs sticking out are going to have a hot pink piece coming out. It folds over like it's on top of her head and then also folds over the back a bit. And you can see one of the hot pink pieces there, and the other one almost like bunny ears coming off, or Space Invaders if you guys are old enough, like that kind of an alien look. And as far as her eyes, add a little square of white highlight to each outside upper corner, as long as it doesn't stick to your finger and get lost. And then I ended up using an edible food coloring marker to add the two eyelashes. If you look up pictures of her, and I don't think you can see it in the one I have here, but in the end video you'll see it, or in the end screen. Yeah, you can see the little eyelashes there, and also made a little, I don't know, upside down face on that bow thing on her head. But anyway, so here you got Super Girly Gamer, and I've got a ton of other Minecraft videos, so check those out if you're doing a Minecraft cake. Please like and subscribe, because it really does help me out, and you can find me again later. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.